Now we are.
Or
Now we're on. Yes.
Or are we just a
We are
figment in a dead god's mind?
we are dead. Oh wow. Figment in a jeez. Some Cthulian stuff. Right at the beginning, goddamn. But I gotta figure out a proper way to name all these because this is the second one we've done, but it's the eighth Tinto talk, so I
You
don't.
could call it number 2.
Number two, eight, it's Tinto talk 8,
Oh.
number 2. Speak smart.
No, it's Tinto Talk 2 8 equals 1 plus 1.
Oh wait, huh? Very. They're announcing the EU4 DLC. Yeah. By the way, on a completely unrelated note,
I wonder what this could possibly
No
be.
relation to Project Caesar.
it's completely unrelated that there's bringing up. Oh wow,
Why would they be showing an EU4 DLC on March of the Eagles 3?
that's so weird. That's not related at all because it's Martian Eagles 3. Yes, of course.
No,
Oh, I'm so excited.
This is Europa Universalis Rome 2.
Bro. Oh, no.
EU Rome 2. Yes. I need to turn
The
that up a
Unmana.
bit. There we go. Now our volume should be better mixed. Yes. The 8. Yes. Winds of Change. I don't know what that's about, but I did hear that there was another DLC announced, but yeah, they're still gonna be talking about the economics of this game. I think they said that the next week's one is gonna be economics as well.
Basically the month after last week was going to be more economic. So we'll probably get to trade. So I know that will make Darkest happy. So
Make me
Thank
very
God.
happy too. They've hinted a little bit at what the trade is gonna be like, and I need more. I
he
need to
has
go.
come out and said that it's not going to be EU4 with the set flow, so that's good.
I don't just need it to not be EU4 though. I also need it to be good. I need it to be different and good because trade is so important.
Hey, Joffrey, maybe you should make an announcement that you're streaming.
Maybe, but
Who needs an audience? Let us shout into the void.
I don't care. I don't care about them. I just talk to the air.
Should care.
Jeez.
They matter.
Fine. I'll tell them that we're 5 because they picked the role that says they want to know when I'm streaming. Fine.
I was about to do it myself, but I realized I didn't have permissions.
Ha! You don't get to. It has to be me. I can't let you do it for me. No. If I don't want them to know, they don't get to know.
I think I can at everyone, but I can't at stream viewers, and I don't know why.
Oh. Maybe I should look into that. And maybe give you permission to message in announcements.
I'm important.
Real ones. Ugh, fine.
When do I get special privileges?
I have a role called Almost Real One.
I guess if you do this like for a bit, maybe you'll be cool enough to be an Almost Real One. Yeah, make a new role specifically for you. Yeah, that makes sense. Like sort of semi-real, a little fake still.
I found you, faker. You're the only fake gamer around here.
And then I'll do the eyes emote. There.
Advanced stratagems.
With Vector from Realms. Featuring Vector Maximus from the Realms in Exile series of games.
And also featuring Dante from Devil May Cry.
Also him, yes.
And Knuckles.
Yep, them. Just them.
Yep.
Nobody else?
Nope. Well, Virgil comes in the DLC. the complete edition. But what the hell? Anyway, they're starting off talking about bankruptcy. After how long? That took 5 minutes of rambling. Wonderful, wonderful. Always love it. Loans work a fair bit differently. Really? What? How do you change loans? Huh?
The infinite Ethereum money black hole has been removed.
Has it really? At first glance, it's kind of similar to previous games. I didn't. This is something where I didn't even think that I wanted it to be changed. I hadn't considered it, but this makes sense. See you spamming. Who's doing that? Who's spamming emotes in chat? You weirdo. Is that one of you two? Is that one of you guys?
No.
I'm assuming it's Darkus because it's not me.
Yeah. It's probably Goat.
Any viewer can
it's
do it.
Goat. It's Goat, isn't it? Damn crap.
Oh, it's Nem crap.
Loans. It's kind of similar to previous games. So you take a loan, you get the money, and you pay interest. Makes sense. But in Project Caesar, there's some changes, and I'm gonna do enough hand movements, of course. And work in progress tooltip. 23.67 gold for 60 months. 10% yearly interest.
Damn, that's almost U.S. student loan levels of interest.
You take a loan from the estates. Now, don't make me think about Canadian loans.
Do they come from the Goose Mafia?
The Goose Mafia, indeed. Terrifying stuff. Oh, gosh. Oh, when I had to start paying loans for my short stint at university. Oh, painful stuff. But, so you take loans from the estates. The estates have made this much available to us for a loan. Need more hand movements? Yeah. In this game, you are not borrowing money from an abstract national bank, but instead, your internal loans are taken from the estates and what they've made available.
The mention of a national bank actually makes me incredibly curious, since they mention later on in the dev diary some of the landless nations being like the Medici Bank or the Hansa, so on and so forth, nations that hold no territory but you can use to loan money from foreign entities.
Yep.
I'm wondering if you will eventually be able to actually found a national bank, like found the Bank of England, so on and so forth, because that was actually a really important financial innovation, that decoupled, financial power away from the estates and allowed the central government to regulate monetary policy much more efficiently.
Set up the Dutch stock market.
Exactly.
Invent capitalism. Give me that power. Yes. When countries are becoming actual states, they're figuring out what state means. Oh gosh, that does sound real. That is a very interesting thing to point out, because they do mention the term national bank, because they could have just said, instead of borrowing it from an abstract limit, they're instead mentioning the word national bank, which means that those words are in their head. Maybe they're thinking about it. Yeah. So maybe there is a point in time where you can press a funny button. It's like, make the national bank of the Papal State. The Papal State's national bank. It's dangerous stuff.
That would actually be terrifying. That's the pontifical funds that they demand you give money to every now and again, and then the Pope gets pissed when you don't.
This is true. I hope you better be able to, if you're in like Naples. If you're in Naples, you better be able to get a loan from the Pope. Please, Pope, give me a loan with 50% interest.
It always really annoyed me that we could not dip into the ecclesiastic funds as the papal controller in EU4, because in the late game it would have literally tens of thousands of ducats stored up.
Yeah, having please just let me take a little bit of corruption to just yoink some money from the papal treasury to have
That's
the Pope.
not holy. That's not
What
a
is the
good
point of
Catholic
being
boy.
God's vice regent on Earth if you aren't allowed to skim off the top?
I know, right? Jeez. Like,
You
we
know
need at
that
least
that's
3
what
more
you did
palaces
wrong.
of the Pope. We got one in Avignon. We need another one in North Germany, one in Spain, and it just makes sense.
Well, as
Yeah,
we know,
rotating,
wonders aren't coming back.
No,
rotating
that's
ancient Pope
true.
priest. Actually,
Uh,
Johann did mention that he'd be interested in having, at least graphical ones on the map. So who knows, maybe
Yes,
that'll parlay later on to actual gameplay impact.
well, that's a start then. Let's see. We'll see what
Mhm.
happens in regards to modifiers on land if they ever do
they
that.
will probably come back in the future. They're a staple of just about every game, other than
Yeah.
I think Hoi 4.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
even
'cause it-
Hoi 4 kind of does, because Hoi 4 has unique province modifiers for some provinces.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. Then though you've got stuff like Vicky where there's only like 3, and one of them is the Vatican for reasons.
Isn't there one for the White House?
Don't think so.
Yeah,
Or am
in
I
EU4?
thinking- No, I'm
Yeah.
I'm thinking of EU4. I
Oh.
thought it
Oh.
was like 3. But
Yeah, there is one for the White House there. And then the only one in Canada is Inukshuk, the building.
The one that you abscond with every time.
Yes, you just
Relocate
steal
it.
a big Inukshuk. It's so weird. As a Canadian, the concept of there being a specific, this is the Inukshuk TM, and you can steal it. It's like, what the hell is the point of this? We don't have that. There's no such
Obviously,
thing.
there was nothing else of worth in Canada to make a monument.
Yes.
He's right.
I'm still shocked that there wasn't a Niagara Falls wonder. Give that
Yeah.
trade power and shit like that.
There's a Statue of Liberty in Vic? Jeez.
Yes, there is.
Okay, there's a
it's
few
not there
more
at
than
the
I
start,
thought.
but you can build it.
What's going on, Aiden? We are discussing Oh, wait, wrong way. EU5. There, I'm off the screen. EU5
No.
developer diary stuff.
No,
Whoa.
no. This is not EU5. This is Project Caesar.
And if you ask Dark, it's March of the Eagles 3.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Duh.
Which
What
one
else
is it?
could it be?
I don't remember.
I already told you it's Europa Universalis Rome 2.
Any second now, Goat is going to type into the chat. It's actually Terra Universalis. Any second now, he's going to say that because that's what he thinks. They're not going to keep the EU part of it, which could be, but
I mean, if they change it, I'm not going to throw a fuss about it. I do get the logic behind it, but I'm skeptical they're going to throw away the brand value at this point.
yeah.
That's the brand.
Imperator Rome 2. It's basically, based on what we've seen so far, going to just be all the good lessons from every game stuck together, except Hearts of Iron, because that's a completely different game. But like all the games that are around, so you got like Vicky, EU, and Imperator, all the lessons that those games learn, that's a 4. All the lessons that those games learn, there. 3. All the lessons that those games learn, you can mush them together and make one game so that you never need to play any of the other ones again. And you win. Let's see you win at game. Will war be good? Yes.
That's Johann's goal. He wants to gain more popular support for Paradox Tinto so that he can push his claim to the main studio.
Yes. He must fabricate the claim. See, that's Vector, this is why. See, I am flooding the Realms team with my supporters. So, Jocko's a lead, Dev now, Dark is a Cairo's a Dev. It's just you wait. Soon enough, all my supporters will overrun the server, and the coup will begin. Yeah. Just you wait.
Is that something you should have told me?
It also said
it doesn't
out loud
matter.
on stream.
It doesn't matter that you know. You can't stop it now. Too far gone. You are powerless already to stop me. Were we talking about loans?
Yes, we were originally talking about loans, and then we got talking about national banks. From national banks,
Yes.
we got discussing papal money, and from papal money, we got talking into special buildings, and then we traveled to Canada to look at the one special building you have, and now we're here.
Very insightful, a very concise breakdown of how we got so lost. Bold of me to assume Dark is my supporter, not the other way around. Oh no. Oh no, I'm being cooed from with the coup is being cooed. Damn. Really is Byzantine in here. So the states invest money they have, because they've mentioned that, but are they going to explain what they do with it? They just say that they invest the money they have. Not only
That's
immediate
more
gains
for
for their
future
own
debt
war.
diaries.
I guess so.
He's also mentioned before that estates will invest their own money into local infrastructure that they are interested in, which can also have the side effect of being infrastructure that helps you, but it's not guaranteed.
Or other redacted. Wow. Wonderful.
I think that might be companies. Like
Companies,
colonial companies and
artists,
trade companies.
Scientists, those are all things I've heard floated.
Get our
'Cause-
Virginia company or East Indy company. We're gonna
So
get
you're saying that later in here they talk about stuff like the Medici Bank. So
Yeah, I don't think they specifically bring up the Medicis, but yeah, they bring up some other major late medieval European banks.
I could totally imagine then it being a thing where estates could fund other non-state entities, which sounds so interesting.
Mm-hmm. I'm really intrigued by what they're doing with these non-state entities.
They also invest in having money available. They'll benefit from the interests. There's no money to borrow from the estates available. You have no ducats left. You just go bankrupt. It's a little bit more... It was pretty bad in EU4, though. It's pretty bad.
My assumption with that language is EU4's bankruptcy was damn terrible. EU5 basically means complete country collapse because you cannot fund anything, and all the local elites basically start disregarding you because you can't pay for jack shit.
That makes sense. Then. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, I wonder what sort of things they could do with that. What if there's anything interesting and specific they could target with that to say this sort of thing specifically is a direct consequence of that.
Don't worry, we can just print more money.
My gut instinct is it's going to trigger an immense control debuff to your entire country.
That's one example.
Sure. Because if you are already not making enough money, and then you lose control over the country, you are not going to have the money to pull yourself out of the death loop. Because you can't get taxes, you can't get troops, you can't get nothing. You're easy pickings for foreign powers.
The estates don't have any money to spend on you anymore either, because that's what happens if the estates don't have any money available for you to loan.
So that's not all of the estate's money. That's just the chunk that they set aside for that you can take loans from.
Yeah.
So it's not literally you draining the entire country of resources. It's just that they don't want to give you any more. Yeah. So maybe you could increase the loan cap. Maybe there's a way that you could say, do something that says that they are forced to have more money available to you, for example. I could see that being a thing.
Probably lowering their happiness equilibrium.
You can just take loans from those bank countries to pay off your internal loans.
Oh no. But they're probably at a much worse... I bet stuff like you don't want to borrow money from the Medici. You don't.
Just saying, the forced loans of Charles of England did not end up working out for him. It ended up getting his head severed from his body. He lost his head over it. So,
no.
Beware of forcing the estates.
Imagine if they... I don't think they could ever do it, but imagine if there was something where you could... It's like, oh, this person hasn't paid the Medici Bank back, so now they're going to fund people to kill you so that they can get their investment back other ways.
Yes, the Iron Bank roleplay.
I want to play Switzerland with this so bad. This sounds so much fun to do a Switzerland-like country in, especially if we're going to be able to play tall properly. This could be great. But, yes, you little worse. There is another way to get gold. Send a diplomat to one of the banking one of the banking countries like Peruzzi and Bardi, which I don't recognize as names of actual countries. Are they then families?
They're just minor Italian city-states.
Damn, they're really just going to be breaking it up so much.
He did mention Voltaire's nightmare.
Oh, that's going to be so fun.
The Peruzzi family were bankers of Florence and essentially are the Medici's predecessors.
Oh. So it is an example of a then
dynastic family bank, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay. So it is in fact saying that there will be a button you can click diplomat. Now I'm looking at a map mode that's just where can I borrow money from? It'll say, this is the Peruzzi family. You could borrow money from them. They're located here in Florence. If you're in diplomatic range, you could then borrow money. Make sure you don't forget to pay them on time or default on the loans, or you may never be able to loan from them again. Well, I mean, that's a logical side effect of it, I suppose. Don't borrow from them again. It would be fun if they had some other consequences.
I'm having difficulty remembering which bank it was, but one major European banking house was completely ruined because they bankrolled the wrong side of the War of the Roses. And obviously the winning dynasty had no desire to repay those loans. So they were completely wiped out.
So a risk, the big risk. Core concepts. Continue by taking the tooltip. Okay, so the core concept of like when you look at a province and you see the economy of it. Reference some. You have a reference to some important aspects in the rest of the. Okay. Fun stuff. So we got Kalmar. This is the population. The reason. Okay, so this is the first time I am seeing a place where we can see this is the resource that a place makes.
It produces rocks.
Yeah, I like rocks. Nice.
The Swedes got a rock.
You get a dominant culture, dominant religion. So satisfying. So satisfying to see. It's not just the culture and the faith. It's the dominant one. Ooh, so excited!
You will be Swedish, or you will perish. The EU5 model.
I am curious to see what the cultural conversion will be like for culture and faith conversion. How similar it would be to Imperator. What if I want to just say you will be Swedish or you will death? Maybe some people will have. Of course, we don't want unique. You left before we talked about it last time, Vector. But there was a poll. There's a poll on in the Tinto Talks forum, and apparently we don't want unique content for nations. That's just how it is. So no national ideas. No national ideas. Yeah. No unique government types. It's not allowed.
There was a thread where people said what they don't want from EU4 and EU5. The number one choice were mission trees. Mission trees and nation unique content, and it wasn't close.
That was
and I don't know why people hate that so much.
Those two were above mana.
Really? Okay, that just annoys me.
Even worse than mana. No.
And I can understand, a strong desire to have incredibly robust foundational mechanics and not a focus on, okay, this specific nation is just going to get a bunch of fluff flavor and modifiers to start, and I get that, but to say, no, don't, I strongly disagree with that notion.
I'm sure most people
regional
do.
Flavor is what allows me to play in Japan and play in France and have two different experiences, and not just the same campaign with slightly different tweaks to it.
It's the reason that people don't really like Vicky, because it's the same game. The only difference is your resources available. And even then, it's mostly the same building blocks of an industrial society that you're working with, so it's really the same thing.
They want to get rid of content designers and pay mechanic designers. That's what the people want, apparently. And I pray that's
certainly a
not what we
choice.
get.
This is just
Well-
our semi-annual reminder that the Paradox forums are not, in fact, full of great ideas. They are like any forum and contain a wide variety of ideas, ranging from the very good to the utterly awful.
I am not concerned that that's what we have in store for us, because they already have reacted to feedback with the whole they showed off estates, and people reacted to that with, we want some unique ones. We don't want this to be the same everywhere. And they just, the very next week, they're like, all right, here's the Dimmy. So I think that is a example of them reacting to feedback and adding unique mechanics for different parts of the map. So that's I'm not concerned.
Oh yeah, I don't
Topography.
think that they would. I don't think that they would cut out, region-specific flavor. I mean, this has been a discussion in CK3. Perhaps swinging a little heavily on the other end. Flavor versus mechanics, and this discussion has been happening for a long time. And Paradox has been pretty firm on the we think we know how we're gonna do this. So.
No, he's talking about nested tooltips. I want to look at them. I want to look at the nested tooltips. Please, Johan, let me look at them. I want to see what owned means.
Truly, nested tooltips are the greatest innovation CK3 brought to the Paradox sphere.
It's fantastic stuff. Oh. But like I want to know what it means. Vegetation, topography, and climate. The climate's like, okay, yeah, that's pretty predictable. But topography and vegetation, it's flat and woods. What does this mean? This means we're not just having, this is woods. This is a forest. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they mentioned this. They mentioned this back very early on. Essentially, instead of every single province just having like a predefined terrain type, it's instead going to be composed of multiple aspects. So the climate, the topography, and the vegetation. And those will determine things like population, disease, the resources, so on and so forth. I don't think they mentioned this, but I think it could be fascinating if like vegetation could change. If you deforest a region,
Oh, please.
Just
remove
be
the
Brazil.
wood.
Be Brazil.
I really want us to be able to have dynamic terrain and such, like, especially like someone who mods. Like, yeah,
I don't see them
please.
letting us change topography. It's possible for vegetation.
If they let us
the
change the
vegetation,
vegetation, surely they'll leave it in for topography too. Just as like a value, a variable that can be changed with something.
That might be hopium.
I really want it though. Dark, we could make stuff more cold.
I know.
I want it. We can hope though. We can hope. But yeah, that's really cool because this means stuff like, for example, climate, continental flat wood. So that's like, okay, it's grassland, plains with trees. You can easily get that image, and then it's like you have the same thing, but instead of continental, it's polar. Then it's like, oh, it's a taiga, it's a boreal forest kind of thing. It's like you can very easily make these connections. So that's very cool. And there's that market again. The market. Oh, I want to know.
Oh yeah, we going to the market.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kalmar is in southern Sweden,
Yes.
and
Yes,
yet its
Kalmar is
its
south.
market is all the way over in Riga.
I think what this
Shiloh.
means. I think what this means is that it is in Riga's market. I don't think that this means that it is in a predefined region that is the Riga market. I think what this means is that Riga has control of it.
But what will determine which markets it's in?
Well, we know for one example, they talked about the naval access stuff. So the equivalent of doing protect trade with your boats would be just sailing your boats around to places to increase your naval presence, which can make it more likely for something to be in your market. that's something that it sounds like we know so far. The thing that has me curious though is that it says Riga here. This is the Riga market, but in that earlier dev diary, it was showing something. It was showing the Riga market, but then we also had the Hanseatic League as something above that, where it implied like it being in Riga's market is a subsidiary of some overarching the Hanseatic League thing, which is like a customs union or something. Just like, I want to know. I want to know.
Yeah, I feel like it's too far off for us to make any decent guesses on,
Other than
or we don't have enough information.
that,
We'll get more on that soon.
I mean, it's talking about economy stuff, so hopefully, yeah, hopefully that's what's
hopefully in the near
coming
future.
soon. And they keep teasing us with this talking about markets and stuff. So for now, what we could probably assume is just, okay, we saw a picture of Gotland. We saw that Gotland is in Riga's market, and that's in the Hanseatic League. So there's probably some sort of system that has resulted in Riga having the economic control over a bunch of regions in the Baltic. And people are still spamming emails. I see you guys. I see you. but and that it is in some Hanseatic League thing, whatever that is. But it also, we learn what food is now, which is delightful. I was very curious about that. This food -4, because it is a town which I think is the first tier up, because there's rural, town, and cities, I think. Yeah.
Something to that. Sure, yes.
So town, okay, yeah. Being a town means it has 10% less food, and it's probably like, once you get a city, it's probably like jacked up to like 40% or something, where you just don't make food. But who knows?
I can't wait to LARP as Rome and require the entirety of Egypt shipping grain to save my overwrought and massive metropolis.
Well, I certainly imagine that Constantinople will be just like that until 10 years into the game, where it will just be empty.
I mean, this is already after the Fourth Crusade. It's already way downhill.
Yeah, I mean, parts of the inner wall, the stuff within the Theodosian walls, large portion of it's already been turned into farmland by this point.
Oh no! And then the Black Death happens. Oh.
Yeah, that didn't help.
God damn.
Hey, we heard you guys were like not having a terrible day for a change. Well, tough shit. God says you die now.
Genoa has brought something very interesting from the east. We thought that you should be introduced to it first, since you're their little babies. You don't have a navy.
Once again, the Byzantines getting screwed over by Italian merchants.
Oh, I want to just screw over Byzantium as Genoa. They're going to be in such a fun position to play, I imagine, with all this stuff. The little dots that are Genoese around the Mediterranean and Black Sea and stuff is yeah.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how you manage to hold together that maritime empire. Because it feels like a strong continental power should be able to snipe those isolated ports fairly easily. But
that's why I bet your first objective as Genoa should be to bully the Belgics before they get united. The Belgics in Anatolia, because you've got lots of little dots nearby and on Anatolia. So if you subjugate or force them to work with you somehow, I don't know. Like if you bully them somehow and get them into your sphere, however that works, I can imagine that being a very effective way to work towards securing your power in the region and not letting the Anatolians unite. Reading through this though, we've got there's a lot of very interesting modifiers here that affect the food, and I can see that Kalmar, for example, there's places like this that will be very good for making food, because like coast, river, continental. And then there might even be places better than that. You might have places like, I don't know, without trees. It's like maybe it's like completely flat and empty, makes it even better. Or like, how do Egypt might like floodplains terrain or somehow like make it even better.
Cities are gonna be bad on food, because this is a town. and it's already consuming way more food than it produces.
And it makes minus
You can just
10%.
because also not just the penalty, but how many burgers it's going to spawn.
Yeah.
Burgers who don't produce food.
So it has just a ton more people. The people that massive amount of people don't make food, and on top of that, it just has a modifier that makes it worse. And a city probably amps all of those up to a massive degree. Because I'm guessing it'll be like 30%.
Interesting at the start.
Like Rome.
I
Rome would
imagine
probably
that I imagine there are benefits gained for this trade-off of the food because you have
Probably
much more
money.
specialized economies in large cities. You know, you've got much higher concentrations of artisans, intellectuals, nobles, movers and shakers of society.
You probably get food and manpower from your peasants, and you get just straight up cash from your cities.
It's probably a very big stopgap between like you needing to have a town to like have anything in regards to nobles and such. I bet that's like, well, actually nobles could live out in the fields, but like burghers are probably like the big money makers and the people that can like advance your country more as well. They're probably very important. But then the clerics probably educate people. There's a lot of things to
make
consider.
Your country stable.
Oh, that's right. Clerics are important for stability.
And nobles are probably going to be doing most of the rural investment.
Yeah.
Whereas burghers are going to do lots of city investment.
Burghers crank out the cities. Nobles work the farms. Peasants do all the actual work. And clerics hold it together.
Mm-hmm. A bit strange, though, that the burghers take so much food. Think that they'd make burgers.
I know.
Oh, God. Yeah, I need to play Hamburg. Like, I need to play the free city of Hamburg in this and just build super tall. Just make it no food, but you just import a ton. I'm sure it can be done.
There's going to be an achievement as Hamburg produce, a majority of the world's beef or something like that.
Oh, no. Oh.
Time for more not world conquest achievements.
Yeah, it's totally not a world conquest, but it needs you to, basically. Because, cows will probably be pretty common. Did you say you'll be leaving in a few minutes? Or what? Huh?
You said that.
What did Vector say?
Oh, he's gonna be back in a few minutes.
Oh, he said he's back in a few. Oh, he deafened himself. I see. Yeah. And I just noticed the ping that Nemcraft gave me about loans to do with England. I guess can continue. He's not here.
Keep going. That's fine.
Okay, yeah.
We seem to get sidetracked enough.
This is true. Yeah, even the small town of Kalmar needs food from nearby locations, so you probably can import it relatively simply from your surrounding lands, but
And cities are probably, if a small town of Kalmar is taking that much food, a big city like Paris is probably going to be a nightmare.
But but it's saying, I'm a little confused here. So it produces 7.8. Oh, okay. So it's just not adding up its total consumption. Because this is total production. It's not saying total, like, net. Which I'm sure it will somewhere. Like, obviously needs to, but there's a lot of burgers and they consume a lot of food. It's not... I want to see exact numbers here. I want to know exactly what the amount of these people is. Like, how many burgers are these that are consuming that much food? And there's also a lot of modifiers that impact how much food, but there's a lot of positive ones. It's a pretty good place for producing food. And all of the administration stuff, interestingly, because you've got the laws, traditional economy, serfdom, feudal administration. Those all sound like laws that you'll be changing later that will make you produce less.
Yeah, serfdom, if I recall, is one of their sliders where you can go up or down. I believe at the top it was like free peasantry. So if you'd have the serfs forced to keep farming, they're gonna make more food. But if the serfs get the chance to leave, they're not making food.
You probably
I
just have
don't know about
less.
traditional economy.
Hmm.
Traditional economy is probably gonna have to do with maybe slowly advancing through the eras as capitalism and companies become bigger.
Yes, you probably don't lose. I'm guessing that you don't ever lose peasants. I'm guessing that peasants just take on a different role over time.
No, you're still gonna have mostly peasants by the end of the game,
Yeah.
they said.
Okay.
Peasants just keep making food. You didn't get the mass urbanization until Victory.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Hmm. The granaries are close to full. Could sell their surplus to the local market in Riga, but only get about 56 local market. What does this mean? What does this mean, that there is in fact a Riga market and it's a
Yes.
region on the map, which, because that kind of scares me.
I have no idea.
Like, as soon as it comes to like, this is a large group of provinces connected to one market, that feels a little arbitrary, and it becomes like, oh, I don't know, this is scaring me, like it's similar.
Yeah,
But
because trade in EU4 sucks. It's
as
no redeeming
soon
features.
as soon as it stops being anything like dynamic small chunks that get like added to each other, as soon as it's like, oh, this is the Genoa market, it's like, I don't know, you call it market now instead of trade zone, but like that doesn't mean you're not scaring me. Sell it but only get 56% of the profit. 56 control. Oh, well, that makes sense then. Yeah, the entire province lacks food. We would have to buy food at 100% of the current price in the market. The price for food is different in each market and depends entirely on how much food is sold. This definitely then is a. I really hope it's not talking about a region on the map, because I want to be able to dynamically like pull back like the coast for like, if like Kalmar is in the Riga market, I want to be able to take it out and pull it into mine. So that I have full control over the food there, for example.
Just conquer Riga.
But I don't want that to. No, please, no.
We're going to have trade
I'm scared.
discourse for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I'm scared.
He's terrified that this means
I am.
static trade zones.
I'm so scared of static trade zones. Like, they can call it markets all they want, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be different from trade regions.
I mean, so long as they flow dynamically, I could live with them.
I could tolerate that then, yeah. If they can move in dynamic directions, that's fine.
Well, Johan has already said that they aren't going to be set, to flow to a deterministic endpoint like in EU4. He's already said that much. So,
well, that's something then. That's one small desperate victory. Hello, IC. Hello. We is talking about EU5, yes, and trade. How much food is sold to the market, and taxes. Tax base in Kalmar. Okay, so we mentioned taxes in last week's.
Well, obviously, we're messed. Since we're talking about taxes, next week must be about death. So Black Death confirmed.
Oh. No, no.
There are only two things guaranteed in this game, Joffrey.
It's death and taxes. He specifically mentioned tax base there. The tax base of an estate is based on the total of their tax base in all the locations they are present in. All that they're present in? I mean, I guess that means that there could be an estate that that's not in a... What the hell is the bond standet? What is that? What is that estate? The Bondestandit.
It's probably like a local name. Let me check.
That's a sword and a pitchfork? It looks like a sword and a pitchfork. Huh. Very strange.
Well, nothing's coming up from a search
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
on Google.
Hmm.
Except a whole bunch of stuff in Swedish.
Damn it, where's Remerad when we need him?
Sleeping.
Foiled again.
Oh, it's inclusion of the fourth estate is a peculiarity of the Swedish realm with few parallels in Europe. Let me read it.
Oh, wow. It's a quirky Swedish. They have...
Let's see.
Oh, that might be their name for the peasant estate.
It was a
Yeah.
diet made up of the four estates, which were historically the nobility, clergy, burghers, and peasants.
So so people can be peasants then, and peasants will be in the Bondestandit.
There are three categories of Swedish bonder. That means peasants.
Okay.
There were tax peasants and crown farmers. The tax peasants were people who owned their land and were taxed. Crown farmers worked on land owned by the crown. And then the third group were farmers who worked on the crown owned by nobles.
That makes sense. That's a pretty intuitive way of categorizing it as well. So I suppose that probably just means that peasants, the peasant populations in Sweden, because of course they needed to give Sweden a unique one. They belong to a unique estate, and that estate actually has some power, which is interesting. Because there is a degree of, I suppose, peasants that actually have their own land at Game Start in Sweden. So there's a little bit of modernization, I guess you could call it. Oh, they're a step ahead of places like France, where they're deep in feudalism. Yes. Their total amount of tax base in all locations they're present in. Yeah. So tax. Okay, so everyone grabs some tax base, and then everyone splits up the tax base in a province, and then they have a total amount that you're taxing of the estate. That makes sense. They're gained from taxing the profit of buildings and resource gathering operations.
I hope. I hope. Straight to the mines we go.
I mean, we know that Kalmar is making stone. What a valuable resource. Indeed.
Rocks. Rock and
The
stone.
rock. All my homies love the rock mines. Digging up that valuable. Yeah, I guess. Someone needs to do it.
You gotta get those granite like countertops, man. Like, come on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The middle-aged white women need it.
Quickly
find. I would get something.
Quickly find the error in the text of this tool. What? What's the error? What? Secret text error?
Oh, let's see.
Taxing the profit buildings. The profit of buildings? That must be
the tax. Yeah, there's no of.
Yeah, that's the error.
It's supposed to be either an of or a produce at the end.
Yeah. Wow. Got him. We sure showed them. Slowly increasing your control over Kalmar up to 58. This is like, oh my gosh, Kalmar isn't even that far from the capital, and it's on the coast, and it's only 58. It's like, oh, whoa, we're increasing our control up to 58%. Whoa!
If I recall, Johan worked a lot with the Mayuan taxes developers, and even your capital wasn't safe.
No.
Your capital wouldn't have perfect control.
What do you mean, no? No.
Now, it was
My
the
poor
easiest one to
capital.
lower, to like get more control in, but it still wouldn't be perfect.
Damn. Playing a free city in the Empire is looking more and more appealing by the day. God damn. I want to play as Aachen and just have all the... Actually, no, I don't want to play Aachen. I'm not on the coast then. Gotta play on tall on the coast as Lubeck. Lubeck probably is great to play in this game. Huh. But yes. The tax base is slowly increasing, and if we get to the maximum 100%, it would be even bigger. Yes. The nobility and burghers have a fair bit of the power. Nobilities and burghers, yes. And the peasants have basically none, but you're still getting some tax from them, interestingly. Yeah. Able to tax more from the burghers each month. And could probably go above 25% tax. We are able to tax more from the burghers each month. So, tax laws?
So remember how you tax each estate individually? That
Yeah.
tax base is how much the estate is producing. The tax
And then
is
the
how
tax
much you're taxing
rate.
from their what they get.
The church is taxed none.
Yes, this is traditional Catholic work. You're
Yeah,
not supposed to tax the church.
it's true.
In fact, that's probably going to be a big thing for Catholics, that they can't tax the clergy.
Yeah.
That's one of the big reasons to go Protestant, because they do.
What if you play as, like, Trier? That's the question for me.
If you're an archbishopric, it might be different.
What happens then? There's so many questions and ways you can handle that. Because, like, what if you are the church? Like, how does that work? Like, because that sounds very interesting. But, like, surely the Teutons, the bloody Teutonic Order, can get money from the church.
No.
No?
What do you,
No?
you really think that? No.
Oh, you're right, because that's why Riga exists. They have even less control of the church there. Riga exists because of how little control the Teutons have over the church. But yes, you can increase the tax. It's really funny because this means that if you've got your 25% tax on the peasants, this means that the peasants are both paying the nobles and you separately. They have a federal and provincial tax. We don't have a provincial tax in Alberta. Yeah, it's great. Clarify, only the money that is in the potential row exists. But where's potential? There's potential, yeah. Currently potential. Control maximum. Oh, okay. That's actually very handy then. So, because yeah, this is what you're taking. And it's like, oh, well, if you increase the tax percentage, you could squeeze a tiny bit more out. But it's not really worth it at that point. And at absolute maximum, you would have that much. That makes sense. Yeah. But I can't imagine it always being a good thing to get, like, all the money out of the estates. Because, again, like, I imagine if they're loyal, they'd at least be helping. They would sometimes do stuff that's useful.
Increasing your control increases the tax base for the estates, and then you tax those estates.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm saying that the more you tax them, the less money they have, and that might not necessarily be a good thing, but I guess that's basically all the money you get, isn't it? It's probably like all the cash you get is from tax, unless they do calculate trade differently, like your trade income. But who knows? We shall see. You only get 0.05 ducats there, perhaps more. Rounding, yeah. Yeah, they just keep that money, and then that is used for things like letting you take loans and investments in whatever they wish to invest in. Redacted. How
Invest
much is
in
left?
Eastern
Yeah.
Poland.
This is the last bit about raw materials. So, as you noticed in the tooltips above, talks about raw materials and resource gathering operations. Yes, please tell me about the stone. Every location has one raw material possible. And this includes things like lumber, stone, grain, amber, or amber, okay, sure, or copper. Of course, there are other ways to get access to the raw materials, merely owning and controlling. So buy them somehow. But what do you want them for? So they're saying like get access to them.
Well, look at that picture and look at the bottom of the picture where it says during construction.
Okay. Oh no. Oh
You need goods
no.
to make buildings.
It really is
Unfortunately,
just
you
there.
can't.
There is no reason. There is just going to be no reason to play Victoria. Why would I play Victoria when this just does Victoria what Victoria does, but
Because
like better.
the war system is so great.
Yeah, the war system is so great, so great.
I can declare a war and then go take a 30-minute
I
shower.
do imagine that the this system of goods and trade will be less complicated than Vic 3's, buildings and everything like that. So if you want more in-depth economic management, Vic 3 will still be the one to go to. But yes, this is getting pretty dang close. Like we've mentioned several times now, this seems like a natural evolution to the Imperator system.
It feels to me like this is just I know at least personally this is taking all of the fun stuff I like about Victoria other than the politics. But who knows what the politics stuff, because there's laws in this and policies, and they mentioned that people will get unhappy as they get more class conscious with their education, so they might even have some of that stuff in this to a degree. So it's like, I don't know, man. I
Truly, it
don't
is
know.
time for a revolution.
Yes. Overthrow the monarchies. But just to finish,
So,
of course, yes, there are other ways. Only peasants and slaves, because yeah, slaves are different from peasants. So that is an extra estate that some people will have. Estate, population. They don't have an estate, but for gathering raw materials and how many will work. It depends on how big of an infrastructure you've built up for it. So yeah, you just increase the mining operation or whatever. Pops that are working with this will not be producing food, because yeah, unless it's food related. So I don't know, maybe it's like bananas or some shit. Like, this produces grain. That doesn't sound right. They wouldn't do that. Goat is back. Hello, goat. Hello. We're talking about food and resources, raw materials. The maximum size of an infrastructure that can be built depends on population, development, tech, and societal values.
it might be grain. It probably won't be cereals, but it might be things, for example, like livestock or more exotic foodstuffs. Because if food is separate, that probably means generic cereals are just represented by generic food.
Yeah, because you can
Special
grow that
foods,
anywhere. Yeah.
yes, and special foods are actual real goods you can produce.
It's probably a case of, yeah, this is like a tile or location rather that has
Now,
cows. It's just
they
cattle.
are saying that these are raw goods. That means we get manufactured goods too.
You're right. You're
Guess
right.
what the burgers are probably gonna be doing?
They're gonna turn that wool into cloth, and then you're gonna sell that cloth. Oh, oh my.
Big part of the English economy and why the 100 Years' War was actually important because of wool tariffs between Flanders and England.
That's right. The staple port.
Yep. The English wanted their wool to be sold to the continent, and blasted, the Flemish wanted to turn it into cloth. And they were gonna damn the French king if they tried to get in the way of them making moolah.
Because yeah, the Flemish being Low Countries, more urbanized stuff. So you'd totally have then. Oh my gosh, I just what I want this to be so badly is England exists. You have the English market, and the English market includes Flanders, and the staple port exists, and the staple port exerts more pressure on the neighboring areas to be in the English market. So then you have Flanders is in the English market, and then you've got the English producing the wool, and then the Flemish buy that and turn it into the cloth, and then you have the economy. That's what I want it to be so badly. I don't want it to just be like, this is the English Channel node. Please no. Please no.
English Channel node incoming.
No, 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 no. No. Wait. But would yeah, different pops and cultures producing different goods and resources? Well, I mean, an example, there's probably silk. That's probably a thing, for example. You'd probably get silk as like a peasant thing. It's like you would have peasants producing the raw good of silk in Asia, I imagine. Like in
But
China,
it's
and
almost
then they trade it.
certainly going to be per province. You're probably not going to get
Yeah.
more than one raw good, and maybe I don't know about manufactured goods, but no more than one raw good per province. Manufactured goods, you might get one per province, and if there's actually a town or city present.
Well, I don't think it's on a provincial basis because like it's all like locate like every single tile.
Okay, location.
So-
You're right. That's the new
'cause-
terminology. It's probably location based.
So you'd have like every single space, square, location, tile, whatever you want to tell an instance of territory, and then a grouping is state or whatever. Yeah, it's probably every single location has its own resource, and then a city can probably. I bet a city doesn't produce raw goods anymore at all. Actually, I bet that
Towns
once
probably still do.
yeah.
The cities do not.
I bet the town is more of that in-between place where you... I don't think... I'm not sure a town would... Well, okay, that's where you're going to have burgers, though. The burgers would be producing something. So, they probably do still... The burgers probably still do produce a... some sort of... yeah, okay, there's also not going to be necessarily a ton of cities, because I think they said, as an example, like, Paris would be... Was Paris a city or a town? I don't remember,
Paris would probably be a city. It was huge.
Yeah. But things like London's not a city. There's a lot of places that would like you'd still need this country to be able to produce some like processed goods. So towns would be that in between place, I imagine. Yeah, where they produce anger. Ah, yes, the burgers produce anger because. As the running joke is, of course, goat. The burgers are always mad, and we don't know why.
Yeah, Paris had 200,000 people by 1300. It's a city.
Ooh, not for long, it ain't.
I mean, it probably still will be.
Are you ready for your like 8K? 8K is probably still a city too. Yeah. Wait, how many people were
Not
in
8K.
No. Wait, sorry. You said 30? You said 30 for Paris.
1300. Paris had 200,000.
Oh, fuck. I heard
you really think they're
30.
going to drop to 8? They're going to lose 192,000 people from the Black Death?
I heard you say 30, and I meant 18. 18K?
1300, not 30.
Ooh. That's a dumpy right there. That's a fat chunk of Frenchman. God damn. Ile-de-France is churning out the goods. So France, although it would be a very heavily stratified feudal society, they could probably produce some goods. Some hella goods in Paris then. But I don't know. But there's just...
Well, the University of Paris was one of the earliest existing educational institutions in all of Europe. So
I did not know this.
I believe the University of Paris is even already a thing by 1337. I think it opened
Jeez.
like even before 1200. Let me check.
France is going to be a fantastic country to play.
I know
then.
Oxford is a thing because I know Oxford was
Hmm.
founded relatively soon. I think it was founded first.
Yeah, I was right. University of Paris was 1150.
Oxford was 1096.
Yeah, so Oxford is older.
Wow. 1096 Oxford University. Yikes. But yeah, I imagine France in general would be a fantastic country in this game with how they'll have a bunch of vassals who can more effectively manage their estates in the different the reaches of your country. So it'll be broken up that way to more effectively manage your country. You'll have a really big city that you could probably choose to focus a lot of effort into modernizing faster through. But it's every one of these dev diaries. Oh, it gets me so excited. It's so cool. I've not a single thing has let me down other than the fact that we might have static trade regions. That's the only thing so far that I've seen at all in reference to EU5 that is a little spooky. But they could do it well. They could still do it well. There's a chance. But with that is the end of this. So, Tinto talks, Johan talks.
Now it's time to go through dev responses.
What has he said? Wait.
He said a lot.
4 pages of dev responses.
I don't know why.
This
yeah,
is Java.
I know that. Yeah, but which is gonna have a huge amount of people. But
yeah.
I wonder why they showed this in particular.
Showing different parts of the map.
It's just. It's very. It's like. Oh, I really like the map. I have to say, I really like the way the map looks. But like, I really like just those the stenciled tree, the jungle icons. That's just really cool. But
they want to show off Majapahit.
Yeah. Majapa Hobbit.
Mahuja Poopit.
Come on, I just got it right, boys.
You did, though, yeah.
I know the reference. I can't believe it. That video ruined it. Everything. It soiled it.
The history of everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember all the different versions he says, but yeah.
He says 4. He just because it's a 4.
How do you remember? What the?
Because it's a 4-syllable name, and so he did 4 iterations. It's not that hard.
Okay, fine. Wow, Mr. Smart Guy. Jeez.
Yes, I am. Thank goodness that you recognize how this works. Know your place.
I hope it will not be based on static trade directions. It won't.
Okay. Yeah. It won't. Responses. Hearts, yes. Taxing the peasantry who hoard all the money for themselves and giving tax exemptions to the poor people of my realms like the clergy and the no. Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a fantastic idea.
Made by the French monarchy.
Lord Varangian guy. Yeah. That on the subject of that, yeah, I imagine that being the biggest struggle is France, where you need to focus on how do you stop giving so many rights to the nobles while also not making them kill you.
More info on that in 2 to 3 weeks' time, Joffrey. You have to wait.
I can't wait.
On markets being static.
The static markets will return after these commercial messages.
Always beat the market, or is there anything that will make that city lose market status? Conversely, can other cities claim market status? Yeah.
Well, you'll learn soon.
I hate him. I hate this man so much.
He doesn't even give a hint. He just says, we'll talk about it. He gives a hint to the no static trade directions.
He gives so many hints.
He doesn't give a hint about this.
He's so good. He tips his hand all the time. But this is no indicate. Like I can't even guess. Are they him saying more info on it, I think based on how much all the three of us have been scholars of Johann, I think this means that they aren't static. Because if it's a simple answer that he doesn't plan on talking it, it's like, it's a yes, no. It's like, oh, it's different kind of thing. You know? I think so. There must be a little bit of complexity to this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said more info on it. But now I want to know what the info is. Oh! So they're still talking about the economy for several weeks, which is like, I'm starting to see how these Tinto talks might actually be able to last until the game comes out. Because holy...
Already more interesting than the Vic 3 economy.
Yeah! It is interesting me already a lot more than the Vicky 3 economy. A lot. Because it's not just you need to produce more paper and then spend the paper on fucking file cabinets because you need sufficient number of file cabinets to tax people. Yeah.
Don't forget, by upgrading your arms factories to produce repeater rifles, that doesn't change the quality of your troops. It just makes more guns.
Yes. King of keeping you by the balls. No, that's me. Because I've got Nem by the balls. Every time we play tabletop. I'll have you too, Goat. Just you wait. When you play Call of Cthulhu, I'll get you. He'll seize you in that vice grip. Supply and demand economy real. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, in Vic 3, I don't like its economy very much.
Wait, really? Yeah. No better weapon. Yeah, it's no, I don't like at all. We're all gonna be struggling through Vic when we play. There's like one person in the mega who likes
Just convert
Vic.
to Vic 2 instead.
No,
that's
you don't understand how awful that
crusty.
is in multiplayer.
Yeah,
like it's genuinely horrid.
Vic 3 runs. It doesn't. It's not a good game, but it's a game that runs, and it's a short game.
You have to port forward or use like Hamachi to actually play Vic 2 multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that much I was aware of. I knew that you basically had to have an alternate hosting site involved.
Banking countries are one form of the landless countries previously mentioned. Please.
They are landless. Yes. Landless countries.
Landless countries. Give me Knights of Rhodes. Give me my Knights of Rhodes.
Unfortunately, we're about 3 decades too late for the Knights Templar to still be around. They got dissolved in like 1307, 1309, something like that.
Sorry, Goat, your ancestors are dead. It's only the real knights, like the Hospitaller, Lazarus maybe. I don't know if Lazarus is still around, and the Templar, the Teutons. Yes. Hiding in Scotland, you say? Okay, sure, buddy. Do not do the cringe decision that most games do, where you have to hold the mouse down to click a button. What?
Basically, if you look at some of the thing, it was up there, but essentially for like important decisions, there's a press and hold to do this, basically, so you don't accidentally do it. So what he's saying is you can either do the hold down to confirm, or like in EU4, like if you want to pay off a loan, it'll then launch a second window to confirm that this is something you want to do.
And we've got options for that. That's nice.
Yes.
Do you want click? Do you want to do this? Yes. Click and hold. Both are equally valid in my eyes.
Exactly. I just see it as a accessibility thing. So
yeah,
all the power to them.
You know, accessibility for the people who they can't hold down the button. It takes a lot of work, you know. Finally, another snippet of the map. Yes, that's probably why, because everyone wants to see the map. So like, here's a little bit. A little bit. We need to just tease you a little bit so we can hold these out until we need to start showing random pieces of the Inca in the lead up to release. Really excited to play as Maja Hit. Interesting start. I'm sure it would be.
Actually, we are speaking of Java. We are just before the apex of the Empire of Majapahit at this start date, because Gajamada and Haram Maruk, the king that he served under, I think that's the king he served under. Yes, that is the case. Started their rule in 1350, so 13 years after the start date. So Indonesia will be very interesting because this is a great place for them to show off subjects, because the Empire of Majapahit was a lot of tributaries and vassal states and not a lot of direct control.
Well, what we've got here does not show a lot. Just
No.
there's two.
Just political
Blobs
makeup
here.
of half of Java.
Well, yeah, because that's the kingdom of Sunda on the western side.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one
So-
half of Majapahit.
So
Well,
does
no, not quite. Sunda was kind of a rival that was only kind of incorporated by force and
Oh,
later.
no. I meant one half of Majapahit on the right side of the picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We've only got
Sure.
half of it there.
so do you mean to say, Vector, that you would expect Majapahit and Sunda to have been broken up into smaller vassal states at the game start?
No. This makes sense for Java. Admittedly, I haven't studied this super in depth. I'm more interested to see how they portray the rest of Indonesia, because Majapahit is on its rise during this period, so it should already have
Okay.
tributary vassals throughout the other island, like in Sumatra, on Borneo, so on and so forth. In the Spice Islands to the east, particularly, because that was a major part of Majapahit's power, was they controlled the Spice Islands to the east.
And then, yeah.
So because of that, I'm really looking forward to this region, because I think it's the perfect playground to show off the very different things that they could do with subject types.
How do they then mess with the different subject types? We know, for example, you're going to be able to create a subject of a colonial type. So can you do that with any overseas possession? Can you just pick a random corner of your realm and I'm like, I have zero control here. The Basques hate me. Can one of you please rule the other Basques and then just pay me some of your money back? Okay, we'll be good. Like that sort of thing, you know. So, or can I then, as Majapahit, I imagine you'd have you've got vassals in the Spice Islands as well, because there's so many different regions, and then it's like, what does it do with trade? What does it do with markets? Is there a button I tick? There's like, all right, I'm exerting influence on your region to be in my market as well. Do I want them to not be in mine? How does all this stuff work? Because as Genoa, what if I want to set up vassals in these regions that exert my market control, however that works?
Yeah, and can we have various tiers of suzerain subject integration? For example, for some of my subjects, they're more far off tributaries, so I don't care if they have a semi-independent foreign policy, can wage their own wars, what have you. But then there are other ones that are like, no, you do not raise a single sword unless I goddamn tell you. So
you can't fight each other.
To see if you can kind of dynamically change that, because say in EU4 you can change something between a march and a regular vassal, but that's about the only type of vassal swapping there is on the fly, outside of changing the colonial type, and even that's 3 presets. And that's more changing the type of the subject rather than the level of integration with your country.
Yeah. Though it does function sort of like a less integrated vassal, because you need to turn them back into a vassal at the cost of stability integrate them. But so it kind of does that, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel it feels really weird the way they do that. But yeah, I really think it will be interesting to see, because I'm sure that if you're playing a larger country, you will want to then, like, okay, does it take up, what if there's a point, like, I want to decentralize a ton and just have all of these like blobs of vassals. I want to keep them more loyal, so I decentralize them more, give them more autonomy. They don't have to pay me as much money. So they will theoretically have more loyalty and can manage their own lands more, so they'll develop it up for me. But like, what was the thing? What was the thing I was thinking? I want them to. Oh yeah. What can I have more vassals without like the diplo limit? Because that's a big limiting factor in EU4 is like you just can't have more vassals because you can only, it takes up your diplomatic slots. So it's like, yeah, we'll see, but how that works. But very interesting subject, and I'm sure that's something that's going to be talked about a long time from now. Only raw resources. No.
Come on. That's such an obvious answer, though. Imagine if you could mine raw resources, but you couldn't turn them into anything.
The fact
Sorry,
that
we
they
don't have any clothes because we only have raw wool.
the fact that they exactly the fact that they specify raw resources means it's, well, obviously there's non-raw resources, otherwise they just call them resources.
Or trade goods.
Yes, but the fact they make the distinction makes it very clear that there's going to be ones that you manufacture. I want to see, because like Venice makes glass. Venice is very famous for its glass blowing techniques, so I'm sure they will have special, they'll produce a lot of glass, for example. In fact, in EU4, in EU4 they're not allowed to get the faceting event that changes your glass into gems, because that would ruin the point. Well, sorry, Goat. That's all over a decade before this game starts. So, no Templars for you. You're all dead.
Unfortunate. Don't worry. There's still hope for them in CK3. I have hope for them in CK3. I want Holy Order, playable Holy Order.
Can one location have more than one raw material? Each has one, but there are other ways. There are other ways for many of them.
I'm assuming that means that local infrastructure might be able to produce more. So there's the innate raw resource that each province has, but then you might be able to have... No, wait, yeah, more than one raw material, because, yeah, I'm thinking more finished product.
This is saying
maybe that what he means is there are more ways to get them than just getting them from the location, or directly from the location.
So you can obtain them through other ways. This probably means then that you will actively stop producing a raw material. You'll be able to turn on your goods map mode, and the goods map mode you will then see this town has had to actively decide it is no longer producing it's now producing cloth. It is no longer producing wood. It is now a burger focused economy, and they're making cloth, something like that. But where you're not getting any more of the raw material, but you still can produce. No, it's still costing food. It's interesting to think about that. But
can you imagine the Tyrol silver mine?
Money. Money. Give me all of that money. Well, Dark, they got to make lots of food, right? Because it's not going to be a town, right? They got to make so much food in the mountains, right? But yeah,
I would import so much food to Tyrol to make everyone living there work in the mine.
Could you? What if you could make it a city to increase the pop cap, but then not change it to produce a different good?
How I imagine it works is potentially the peasants still produce raw materials, but the burgers just produce the manufactured goods.
I don't think so. I'm thinking that because
there are still farms just surrounding the entirety of Paris.
Yes, but that produces the food that still gets eaten up anyway. So I don't think it's making it the different. I think that you're going to look at the map, and the map is going to say Tyrol makes silver, thus minting. Maybe. I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, you just never turn your precious metal locations into cities.
Probably not, but you could still hope. I'm sure you can increase its cap somehow, or maybe you could make it into a city and just
send food
not.
there.
I guess. Maybe.
You can cram people in. They're just peasants.
There's got to be a way to do that. Is the point? Yeah. There has to be a way, without you removing the resource. We'll see how exactly that works mechanically at some point. But yeah, just like in EU4, you want to crank up the production development of gold provinces. Yes, I know there's a meta, blah blah blah, whatever. Who gives a shit? But you want to increase the production development of gold provinces to make you more money by a large degree. In this case, it's like, oh, you need pump more peasants in there and enforce control. Wait. Austria's not going to have Tyrol. Tyrol has Tyrol.
Oh, yeah, Tyrol has Tyrol.
Fuck you, Austria.
And Austria can probably still get Tyrol at some point, though.
The Austrians would be happy to take you up on that offer. It's how it usually works.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, I take it back. No, don't fuck the Austrians. It's a bad call.
Joffrey, I noticed something.
Want the magnificent chin?
Yeah, I'm noticing something off about your jawline, Joffrey.
It's growing.
Am I mewing the correct amount?
Oh yeah, you fucking. What's your mew streak? You gotta keep up that mew streak so you can rizz up that yacht.
That's right. Otherwise, how will I inherit Tyrol? Dear God.
Hope you don't hate the absolute degenerate Zoomer humor vector.
He's quiet. He is quiet.
I'm just not quite comprehending, so I'm just kind of.
You don't need to.
In bemusement.
You don't need to comprehend. It is. Yeah. You can just watch and. Yep. Okay. They're doing that.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's like, well, okay, it's making them happy, so I guess it's good.
Oh God. Oh, respectable. We're respectable. Does this mean these banking countries will be separate sovereign states? That is, diplomatically separate in some way, geopolitically tied to other countries like Peruzzi's and Florence? Can we play them, or are they just interactive? We will talk about them in a much later dev diary. Dude, you're not supposed to say it's a dev diary. It's a Tinto talk.
I would not be shocked if they are, kind of playable or connected with other states.
There's no way.
Able to play them. If that is if they end up dedicating a dev diary to them, I would not be shocked if they bring up National Bank in the same one.
Oh yeah, that I could see, but I imagine playing they give us unlanded stuff in CK3. They're like, what if we just let you play the Medicis?
Unlanded. They would never let us play something unlanded, Joffrey. That would be crazy.
Yeah. That would be so cool. I don't know how the hell that would work. That'd be so cool, though. What if you could somehow play the Medici and then just take over a country?
I'm not gonna lie. I would love if unlanded things weren't playable. If you could straight just play like trade companies or banks.
Yeah. Imagine the Dutch invent capitalism, and then you play as, and then you play as their company, and then I don't know how I have no idea how that would work.
Time for holy wars for mother capital.
Oh, I want to play. Yeah. Oh gosh. Holy wars for mother capital. I want to play the Mali and set up the gold. Mali Gold Incorporated. This is so stupid. Ah. Be so toxic. Isn't it the stupid lifestyle of how... Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Aiden was reacting to the thing. Yeah, the jawline. Okay, yeah. Whew. Talk about them at a much later date. It scares me that he's saying we will talk about them much later. That the fact he's not just saying no scares me. What does he mean? Like, that might even mean they're still thinking about it. It could mean that they're still debating whether or not you could play them. Good requirement for construction of building isn't present in the market because it belongs to. Won't progress until the goods appear. That makes... Yeah. What if there's just no... You need stone, but there's no stone in this market?
Nothing happens. It stalls. Production
You
freezes.
need them. You just need them. Based on the market access of location. Okay, but he is saying it's based on market access of the location. That's a very Vicky 3 thing. Sounding thing. This is what I want. What I want... The only thing Victoria 3 did good with, like, the economy stuff, I really want them to take the way that their markets work. I want you to force regions into your market. I want to, as Genoa, force the Belyuks of Anatolia into the Genoese market, and I want to steal all their wood so I can build houses nice and cheap. That sort of thing, you know? It's like, oh, he's talking about market access. This is making me think of all sorts of things, like, oh, how much control you've got, and like, how much, which market is it put in? I want to look at the market map mode and just see dots of Genoa market. Unless it needs to be like a straight line. Well, that would be interesting. It's like, oh, you can't get through here. This can't be in the Genoese market unless you have Constantinople or something. There's all sorts of things that it makes me giddy to think about. Ooh. But it says province, right? The market, no. Based on the market access of a location. I wonder if... Oh, okay, we'll see. There's so much stuff. I need to know. Take a loan from another country and then conquer the country. Yes, you cancel the debt, I'm sure. I imagine so. I imagine declaring war for debt forgiveness. It's like, yeah, you gave us these loans, but I'm attacking you. You're gonna forgive our debt, and you're gonna pay me. The dark side of playing Switzerland, risking France just invading you so they don't have to pay. Oh, the Swiss Confederacy isn't even a thing at this point, I don't think. It was like when is the Swiss Confederation even a thing? Properly.
Sometime.
Because they formed in direct response to the Austrians. The Austrians caused the nation of Switzerland to exist. You can believe it. Because they were scared of how the Austrians absorbed Tyrol and were like connecting their lands. So they pushed the Austrians out. So
the old Swiss Confederacy traces back to the Federal Charter of 1291 and has expanded to kind of the old Confederacy's core by 1353.
So at this point, it's a really small thing, but it would exist. There'd probably be...
It's essentially, it's most likely kind of in its embryonic state with
you could
future cantons to join.
Which is the most fun way for it to be, because that means you can play as the Confederation, or you can play as one of the random cantons that are split up in the border gore hell that's going to be the HRE, and you can absorb them. Maybe even diplomatically, you can play as Switzerland and just be like, hey, friendship, please. Glomp. Yum. Diddy said, will there be countries with special kind of banking and loan system like the Medici? The Medici Bank has some unique mechanics, yes. Unique mechanics. Uh-oh.
The assassins.
We don't like unique content. That's oh no.
Yeah, we need generic content.
Generic banks.
Let me bankroll. Cause I'm gonna play the Medici, right? Surely I can play the Medici bank. I don't know.
Legitimately, one of the things that most consistently annoyed me is that I could never get Lorenzo the Magnificent as my starting ruler died as Florence.
I
Cosmo
want-
de' Medici died, and then I couldn't get Lorenzo the Magnificent. It really annoyed me.
I kind of want this now. I kind of want to just be able to play as the Medici Bank and take over Florence somehow. And then you just have a state bank already. I think would be how that would function then. But I don't know. We can make subject countries the same color as your country, like in Vicky or Stellaris. Don't want to have to annex my subjects to paint them at my color. It's a game. Okay.
What I quite want is I want to be able to have my name paint over my vassals.
Yeah, that's true.
Diaries from CK2.
Mm-hmm.
Or puppets in Vic 2.
That's... Yeah. That would be... I think I would like that, yeah. Because you could... I want to be able to just look at my... Like, you unite the decentral... You go... No, wait. No, I wouldn't be like that. Oh, gosh, imagine you're uniting the HRE. You click a button, makes everyone your vassal. It's probably not going to function the same way at all, but, like, the point is still... Like, it makes everyone your vassal. Suddenly, they're all your color.
They're all your color, and your name is spread over all of them.
Yeah, it's just... It is just... Austria.
Wait, it's all Austria?
Always has been.
A gun cocks out of the Habsburg chin.
Oh no. I really like that they're doing all this game rule stuff. I'd kind of like at the same time if it was on a player basis though, because in a multiplayer you might have different people wanting different opinions on stuff like that, but that's harder to do. So just gotta suck it up and deal with what the host wants. If the host doesn't like you coloring in your country, you got to deal with it. Materials in each location. How will areas with historically large quantities? Well, probably just a modifier. Copper, for example. Swedish word. Or will they just start with more developed, active? How about both? Yeah, I imagine so. That. It's not that hard to make modifiers, so I imagine you just take, oh, this is a place where you get lots of that. So, in Tyrol, wherever they call it, in Tyrol, wherever the silver is, there's probably going to be a modifier for it, and then also it'll just start developed, or depending on how much mining is done at this point, who bloody knows. Depending on that. That's interesting for sure. Solve the issue. Late game nations are more centralized, and estates will have a hard time offering loans. Fuggers. Fugger. Fugger.
Oh.
The Fugger. Fugger Bank.
House of Fugger is a German family that was historically a prominent group of European bankers.
Those Fuggers. Fucking hate them.
They, like, blended to the Habsburgs.
More banks.
So
I hope
it's
that
just
taking like lots of loans is relevant and necessary, because in EU4 so many people just want to avoid loans, but in the real world countries were taking out loans all the time.
Yeah.
Like because of just like war being just so obscenely expensive.
I imagine war will be terrible on your economy in this. Because you're going to levy people. You're not making as much food. You got to pay money for now. You got to pay money to get more food now.
Like, war is not that painful in EU4 at all.
Ugh.
If you're a horde, it's practically lucrative.
But
it's actively lucrative for a horde, yeah. Because they loot, really they burn. Yeah. You gotta like I want to play the Habsburg way, for at least the beginning.
Even big developed countries like Great Britain and France were
Yeah.
forced to take massively increased taxes after they won wars, which led to 2 respective revolutions.
It's like it's when you think about like, why didn't Europe like just get conquered by one country? Because it's so bloody expensive and devastating on everyone. So it's actively way more valuable and lucrative to go and increase your power by colonizing and increasing your trade value, so to speak. So for Portugal to just without having to fight anyone peacefully colonize and take over like all of Brazil, for example, that's way better. And I mean, so it is in EU4 to a degree, but like I very much agree that I want it to be. Though also loans are going to be pretty nasty. The 10% interest rate from your own estates too. 10% interest rate from a loan to your own estates is nasty. And I can't imagine the Fugers are any more cheap. But yeah, the Fugers and other fun things. Johan smile. Base production of food seems to be less than the peasants are well, stone is not ideal. Ah, there we go, Dark. As you're saying. They produce something like
Yeah, fish produces more food. You can't, as try as you might, the peasants cannot eat rocks.
I wish he said that. I wish stone is not ideal for consumption. I wish he said that.
You cannot literally eat bricks.
Eat a brick. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense then. So, I suppose then you... Huh. I wonder how this ties into deciding where you want to build a city. Do you want to build a city in a place where you produce more food? Or is it quite the opposite? Because you'll be taking that space up. I imagine you probably don't... but the biggest cities in real life got built up where you would produce the most food.
That's where people congregate.
Yeah. So in the end, you end up wasting up a lot of good farmland, which is realistic.
No, you're just like one location of good farmland. Like if you have multiple locations of good farmland, let's say you have like 10 locations of good farmland, and you put a city in the middle of one of them, then all the food producing provinces are right next to it and will have high market access.
Oh.
The food doesn't have to be shipped as far.
That makes perfect sense, yeah. 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 Fish produce more, yeah. Haha! Laughing. Tax base. What is tax base? This. He responds with the image. And there's the last one. Just let the burgers eat burgers.
I had a nice burger with bacon and cheddar. That's cannibalism, Johan.
Damn. You can't just eat a burger like that. What the bacon and cheddar? What kind of pork was that made of?
Unfortunately, we cannot force the peasants to eat peasants.
They'll eat the burgers, though. If things get desperate enough, they'd probably eat the burgers.
They might eat the nobles.
Storm into the city. Yeah.
And that's just page 1 of 4.
Wait, what?
Yeah. 4 pages of dev posts.
And here I was like, well, that's the end of this.
No, that's a quarter.
Oh God, how much more of this? Vector, you're not on retainer. You don't need to stick around.
Friday.
I'm still paying attention. I just haven't anything to comment, really.
That's okay. I don't know. Don't want to bother you. Make you feel like you gotta stick around.
I'll probably stick around another 20 minutes or so, and then I'll probably head up. So,
It's our top of the hour about.
Buddy, old pal. Nice sword. Oh, you saw the sword the other day, right? Go. No. Well, sword. Sword is.
Sword.
What do you wait?
Folded 1,000 times.
I just talked about it, but I didn't actually show. Behold.
Jeez, that doesn't look much different at all from the crappy one I got when I was 14 in North Dakota. It cost my
Fantastic.
parents $40.
So tell me, is that katana stainless steel?
Oh. It is it is folded 5,000 times, made of the purest mithril.
It is folded 23 times.
AKA, it's made out of some cheap aluminum.
Wow, it didn't break when you took it out.
Whoa! Look at me! Oh wow, I have a sword and it didn't break. Yeah.
You know the whole anime cliche of you pull out the sword and then you put it back in and then something
Yeah.
gets chopped randomly? That's
Yeah.
what's happened to all the hair. Every time you've pulled the blade out and put it back in, part of it's been chopped off.
It's
This is why
the
Joffrey is bald.
Virgil judgment cut. Yeah, I just draw it a little bit, and it cuts some more of my hair. That's how I shave. When I shaved earlier today, I actually just took the katana. I looked in the mirror and just went ching 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 ching.
While others coded the mod, Joffrey studied the blade, but
Well,
apparently
you learned
he
to
did
code.
not study it well.
What do you mean you did not study it well? I watched a video last night of someone attacking a police officer with a katana, so he didn't study it well either.
Boy, you got a license for that, mate.
The Darwin Award is once again proving evolution shall weed out the dumb.
Oh, that just reminds me of this one video about some guy who had just had a katana on like a subway, and he stopped some guys trying to rob people, and at the end he was just like, honestly, it wasn't even a challenge.
I too am incredibly humble.
Oh my gosh, it just draws the katana on the subway. Stop robbing that person. I have the power. Wow. Not great at all. What am I looking at now? Control represents the influence.
The Paradox
of the state.
forums.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
this was a massive curveball.
I am. Oh.
Basically,
I know.
Where am
nobody
I?
is directly getting that money as things
It
stand.
disappears.
Well, it
It's-
goes to unspecified, non-interactable things like local economy shit. You know, same
It's just
thing
not
for when
created.
you have.
Hmm.
Yeah. Basically, it's not going to anything you can interact with directly in the game, which is exactly what happens in EU4 or CK3 or any variety, or basically any of the games, if you don't have 100% perfect control.
I
It's lost to
see.
corruption or just local economy or stuff like that. But for some reason, this one specific thing created a massive tizzy among the fan base because the economy wasn't 100% perfectly closed and simulating everything.
In this? Like you're talking about people responding to this Tinto talk?
No, that one
Yeah,
post.
that one
It's not
post.
created at all.
that it goes into the ether. People were getting incredibly bent out of shape over it.
The fact that he has said it's not created at all. Oh.
Yeah, when the practical thing is it's just going into the ether. It's not going to something that you can directly interact with.
I don't think it's that crazy.
way.
Yeah. There's a lot of things
like
that can happen to income when it's far away from authority.
Yeah, exactly. That's I find it completely ridiculous. How crazy the backlash has been.
Can have a little bit of imagination.
Several
What
more
if
comments farther down will be dealing with this as a result.
like dear God, next thing you know, the peasants might hide some of it for themselves.
You have to tax them.
God forbid.
Tax them more.
I think so. They're hiding some stuff from us.
It reminds me of the Robin Hood Disney movie where you've got like the sheriff walking around town trying to find all the taxes people are hiding up their boot casts or in their pillows or in their the offering box of the church.
So the peasants are producing less than they consume in Calamar because there are some working in the mines. Yeah, but so this means So this means that theoretically a town that has fish would produce more? That makes sense.
Because the primary resource is a food-based one.
Yeah. And then theoretically, yeah, if you I'm just really curious, what do burgers do in a town if they don't have a resource to produce? Maybe it is just that they produce
manufactured goods.
I guess you might be right. You might be right, and I might be wrong.
Because I can tell you right now, fish, you might not be aware, are not a manufactured good.
I can't
birds.
Fish.
Birds are though. Birds are drones. They are manufactured.
Yeah, those are manufactured.
Yeah. At least we can agree on that.
Know this.
It's a very common knowledge.
Government drones exist though.
Yes.
I mean, as we know, the geese are Canada's #1 weapon.
Yes, we mass produced them.
Committed all the war crimes in World War II.
They did. Oh no.
That's an interesting thing to say. Oh wow. Will resource richness vary from place to place? Stone mine in one place be able to support more miners, produce more stone than a different place. Yes, okay. I mean, yeah, they were talking about. Yeah, I wonder how common it is for things to be variable like that, though. Are you gonna just? Is it like only special places, like I don't know, the Tyrol silver mines, rather, or is it?
Well, a very obvious one, since Paradox has a Swedish bias. Is, I can't remember its name. The Great Copper Mines. Yeah, that's the one that produced like a vast majority of Europe's copper. Still does.
That place, for example, yeah. So places like that, I can imagine then for sure would get special modifiers.
Because another way that we know there's gonna be manufactured goods, what do you use iron and copper for, without actually converting it into some sort of manufactured good?
You use it as a rock to beat people's skull in.
Just shinier rock.
Yes. It's a very effective weapon. Ugg gives it 5 Uggs on Uggazon.
Grug does not like it. He got hit too hard.
Me thinking about yes, you gotta play in as a tribal person in Australia with your non-returning boomerangs. You gotta manufacture non-returning boomerangs from stick.
That is literally just a stick at that point.
It's just a stick. It's just you've sharpened the stick. It's made of hardwood. You throw the hardwood. It's heavy. Bonk.
full stick-based economy.
I want my stick-based export. I want to be a
Oh, there is a Polynesian island who kept track of their economy with massive stone donuts. I'm interested to see how they adapt that.
massive stuff.
I don't know if they will.
Yeah. Natives in the US call it a rabbit stick? What do you mean, goat? What's a rabbit stick? I don't want to see EU5 handle stateless societies, Nem. I don't. I don't want any.
If this game has any support for anarchism whatsoever, I will scream. If it has any anarchism in it, it's gotta be bad. That's right. No.
Yeah,
do not.
The island of Yap in the Pacific Ocean.
Yap.
Massive stones.
Yap. Okay.
Yes.
Hmm.
I dropped it in the chat.
They
These are some of the stones that they've used for generations.
so they wheel these around? That's their currency?
Very rarely do they actually wheel them around. They just keep track of who owns which one.
Oh
Apparently,
God.
one was lost on a ship, on a kayak, when it was being transported, like around the island or between islands. It is still being considered as valid despite being on the bottom of the ocean.
What a lovely little. I just love they've got holes in them too. It's like this is such a like coin looking thing. It looks like a gigantic coin.
Yeah. It was dropped out of some giant's pocketbook.
I suppose so. What is it worth? Like, what do you think? Like, what?
Like what?
Is it?
They
He's got
could stand
two.
in for a variety of things. Like it could be a daughter's dowry, or it could be a payment for a house, or it could be, it was a barter system. So what a wheel was worth depended on the time and the place.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. Thank you for enlightening me. Did I? No, I didn't. That was that good. That did show up. That did show up when I opened it. Yeah, it did. Okay. Yeah. Aiden, you did see the wheel. The wheels were
Giant stones.
I wonder what these berry looking things are though. Yeah, that's definitely some sort of berry. Tasty. Or are they peppers?
They're also known as rye stones, if you want to look up the Wikipedia article.
Might be peppers too. Rhinestones.
Go straight to the rebel funding pool for the location's potential rebels.
Not rhinestones. Rhinestones are the gem thing. Rye stones, yeah. They fund rebels? What?
I think that's a joke.
Oh. 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 I don't get jokes. They're not my thing.
Joffrey isn't funny.
I'm not. I don't really understand this whole humor thing. I'm a purely analytical fiend. Wait. Yeah. Previously understood control. It's how much of the province the crown can reach to tax. So in a province with low control, your state can reach the port town, but can't reach the forest dwellers nearby. Yeah. The potential money is not taxable, nor the estates get it. Oh, that's what you were making the joke about.
Yes.
I see. So that's a joke as to, for example, what it could be doing. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's where it's going when it's disappearing into the ether. So, yeah, I'm now starting to see, I like this slightly less as an interpretation of what control does, but at the same time, it gives you something to work towards the entire game, so that is cool. Because if the estate still got the money even when you had low control, that meant that would mean that it's like, oh, well, you can deal with it. It's like, oh, that's fine then, I suppose. You know, if the estates keep the money anyway, at least something's happening with it. But this
but
means...
you're wrong, Joffrey. You're not allowed to find a middle ground. You have to either be a complete shill or you have to hate Paradox for all time.
Got face.
But this means, yeah, just having control is always better. Then, yeah, I can see why Johan said this earlier. Said earlier that having more control is always better. Diplomatic range is different from just vision. Yeah, makes sense, of course. Implying there will be further goods that are not
Cloth is not
extracted.
a raw material.
Here's the
Cloth is not-
manufactured goods dev next week.
Oh, yes! Cloth is not a raw good. Exactly what we were talking. The most stereotypical thing.
I know what it's gonna be. You build buildings that have in towns and cities, and those towns and cities then produce the manufactured goods.
Oh, it's probably then, yeah. So you give something
they said they're
town rights.
They said
You
they're
make
talking
something a
about
town.
buildings next week, and now he talks about cloth next week. That means
Alright,
they're one and
alright.
the same.
So that means that, yeah, next week we'll talk about how you make something a town and then a city. So this means that when you make something a town, you have the ability to then make a building that will have burgers working there, and they will produce the thing. So that means you were correct, I was wrong. You don't make a town and then decide, for all time, this town produces cloth now. It will still have the raw resource. Everything will still have its raw resources on the map, but then you will be able to look at a town or city and then see a breakdown of what manufactured goods it makes, which sounds very cool, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be able to just look at different points on the map and say, this is where I'm going to build a city. I'm going to take this random place and turn it into a metropolis.
Alexander moment.
Yeah!
The question is, how will they do silk? Because silk, for the most part, is grown on farms, but then it's weaved in cities.
Well, I was thinking about that too, and I just kind of default to
Does that mean only
raw
certain
material.
cultures can create silk, or
They would do that, wouldn't they?
is silk a resource that's on the map, like stone?
Well, I think there's a difference between having access to silk as a resource and being able to cultivate it.
Okay.
Wait, it might be an inert raw good unless you have the requisite buildings or technology to actually harvest that raw resource.
So the thing that, and no, I doubt, there's no way they would just take a tile and be like, you can't use this because you are England and you've conquered this, so you can't make the silk anymore.
Well, no, what I would imagine is that it's a resource that that's only present in the East, and if a European takes it, then they can make it there.
I think yeah, I bet what it's going to be is that it's a raw material, and they could, because like silk materials, stuff you make with silk is more valuable than just normal cloth. That's the problem for me. But like the thought in my head is, what if it's a way that you can make cloth but for cheaper or something? So it's like, this is a raw material that more efficiently makes it, and it's just, that's an easier way of doing it. But they might go the extra distance and say it's a raw material, and then you make manufactured silk clothes. Or like, it is an easier way to make rich clothes or something. Yeah? Because there's supply and demand, you know? So what if it's like, silk is one of the ways that you can make the better clothes, and this is why it's so valuable, because I'm pretty sure that's the reason. Like, it was so valuable in Europe, where it's like, oh, we need to get around the Ottomans, because now they're in the way, and we want to buy the silk, because it's clothes for the rich. The rich want their silk robes. It's expensive.
Price more than silk, but yes.
It was all that stuff in general, but like, silk is one of the things that they couldn't get, is the point. So it's like something that nobles would want, maybe. I don't know. Silk is definitely one of those interesting outliers, and I'm sure that the way they handle it is probably going to be an interesting thing regardless. Because they might even, like, imagine if they just say, it's a thing that because you are this culture, you can make a building for to manufacture. Because that opens up so many questions. Like, what can you only build in these climates? Surely you can only build it in like certain climate zones, right? And then it's like, oh gosh, what does this mean for different cultures? Like, are there different cultures that are the unique? They can build certain resources. How do you mod this now? Ooh, fun times.
Yeah, tons of interesting questions. With that, I'm going to bid you both adieu for the night. Was great chatting with you both.
Ready for it next week?
Oh yeah, time for more madness.
The buildings and manufacturing
Yes.
goods.
Yeah, time
Thank
for
you.
more Tinto madness.
Thank you very much for hanging out, Vector. See you later.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Ugh. And at this point, I am actually my brother is poking me that it's been. I told him it was going to be upwards of 2 hours, and now it's going over 2 hours.
Oh no.
Or how much more should I take this then before I'm gonna eat he and I are gonna eat Costco muffins and play Dark Souls, and you guys don't get to join. You don't get to hang out with us. Yeah.
Good.
No
Then what are we
Joffrey
doing?
bro cameo. Just me and my bro. You don't get to see him. Nope.
You know what? Then fine. We're gonna plot about how we can force you to give us an endeavor.
Oh yeah, well, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have no
I hope that
choice.
works out for you.
You have no choices.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll finish this page maybe then. Finish this page.
Yes.
And then it will stop. So in terms of how subject nations are shown on the map, I'll tell them that. Okay. Subject nations are just shown on the map. It's closer to CK through where you have to click country or EU4. Yeah. Yeah, well, definitely more close to EU4. That makes sense. Construction more like an edict. Funding is provided to expand that type of infrastructure in an area. Is a building you have started as a yeah that makes it sound so weirdly overly complicated. Ah yes, you must initiate the please build more brick construction thing, stone carving. I don't know. Occupying a location with grainer during war, you could loot the food. Talk about logistics in a later dev diary. Oh god, what if army's supply limit is tied to food, which is a system we already know is in the game?
You're saying units won't just run off into the middle of Siberia because it doesn't have forts and ignore the rest of Russia?
Well, I'm saying that you could do that if you have enough food.
Oh, that's not how it works. That's not how real world works. You didn't just carry like 2 years' supplies worth of food with you.
You shouldn't be able to. And that's how Imperator works is the thing. And it's pretty weird how that works. But
Like, you should have to essentially push the line, like, from your own border. You shouldn't just be walking in the middle of the other country, like in EU4.
yes. It should be treacherous to be crossing neutral territory as well, because you don't have the right to take their food, or it could be dangerous for the person who's letting you through. It could be something where you actively don't want to let people into your country during war, It's like, oh, they want military access because maybe you don't want to give it to them because if you let them in, they might just loot your food because the hungry soldiers. But yes, I agree perfectly. I want Russia to be like a terrible place. It's so, because it's Russia, Siberia, all that is just empty. I don't want you to be able to just take a ton of food with you. I don't know how logistics will work. We'll see. I don't have many guesses, but I've got hope. I've got hope, seeing as he's describing it as talking about logistics at some point. There's probably something to talk about more than just unit weight. Too obese for this county. Well, you do raid enemy lands in EU4 and M. That's like when you're in an enemy county, you just loot it. You take money. Only problem is that you're worried about the AI's ability to actually use it. Yeah, I mean, the AI is always going to be a problem in these. You mean for money? You don't mean for money. Oh, you mean like potentially loot the food? Yeah. I bet that's going to be a thing for sure. I bet that you will like take a city and you will loot its grain stores as much as you will loot the money, and that could be also very devastating. Give it the full-on Anbin cost treatment, right? Got to stand there and take all their money, all their food. Yeah, goat gets it. Goat gets the Anbin cost treatment. Growth migration. Oh, okay, what? It'll be talked about later. Given that a population will either sell excess food to the broader market or buy from the broader market if it doesn't produce enough food for itself, or starve if there's no way to buy it, presumably. How does population growth work? I would assume that population growth... Pops will grow, assuming they're not starving. Yeah. But yeah, of course, migration, promotion... I guess, so moving between the different classes. Yeah, what was I going to say about... Oh yeah, cultural conversion is of course a big thing. I want to know how like religious and cultural conversion work. Yeah, armies just stealing everyone's stuff. Before standing armies were a thing, it was definitely just a case of you show up in the enemy country and steal all their stuff, yeah. Which is part of why it's so horrible. Because you're just, I don't know, you just got your nice, pleasant countryside, and suddenly all the people are getting murdered and having their food stolen, and the people that don't get murdered having their food stolen now just don't have food. So they're starving. Previous dev diary, you describe control. They're not really part of the country or the estate if they are that far away. Huh. Control being mostly affected by distance. Why would nobles far away from the capital keep less of their income? Shouldn't they be more powerful? They're not really part of the country or the state. They're... Oh, that's another good point. Because then it means
they're
that
not really contributing to the country. They're not really contributing to the government.
They're just their own thing. Like, if you got, nobles super far away, you've got zero control. The nobles, none of them are just listening to you at all. None of them are paying attention. Which, in some ways, feels kind of eh. Because, well, the money's just disappearing into the ether. And it's like, well, the people there are still going to invest in themselves. But that's why, in a case like that, you set up a vassal. If it's so far away or so hard to control that you just set up a vassal and do the same thing, and then it will be administered effectively. That's the reasoning behind that, I imagine. Yeah, okay. Yeah, here's the whole thing. Here's the whole thing that Vector was talking about, where people are not pleased with this whole, the money just disappears. Is there any reason why those local strongmen aren't pops belonging to the estate themselves? A robber state baron is still a baron? Yes, and they use it for themselves locally, which is just minor local stuff, not simulated. And the rebels use money to fund their secession. Yeah. I can get behind this. It makes sense. There's stuff like, where do rebels get their money from? I don't know. Who knows where that money's coming from? So there's fine to have some abstraction. Because if you take all the abstraction out and you try to really narrow it down concretely, there comes a point where it just doesn't work very well.
Honestly, if I can play this game without having an economics degree, what's the point?
I'm so glad you get it. Just like me, for real. Even if I'm super tolerant towards the religion and culture, and they're super happy, 58% of local wealth will just go to funding rebellion or be wasted. Capital. Yeah, they would enrich themselves locally and make their houses nicer. Yeah. No, they're just buying more donuts or something. It's just not coming to you. It's not going to the church. God forbid the peasants have more money. So control does not mean more tax straight to the estate, but through the estate first. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to 100% control the estates, take 75% of the tax revenue. It's only a 40% average. Yeah. Yep, exactly. So, yeah, you're going to have to squeeze that money out of them. You're going to have to wring that towel dry to get the money you want. Otherwise, you better hope the estates are loyal. I can really see it's actually, I think this is going to be really cool now, because the more I think about this, the more I like it, where you actually want to cooperate with the estates. It's not like early game you have the ability to, much less the desire to, just take all the authority away from the estates and bring it just to you, because you need their help in running the country, because even they are having trouble getting their money. So help them help you, you know? So you help them get the control. There's probably interactions with that where you give them more rights. They'll be more happy. Give them a bigger piece of the pie to help them get more stuff. Because at the end of the day, if they are loyal and you have more control, it's okay if they don't give it to you necessarily. Because at least they'll still be doing something. And if they're loyal, it's probably going to be something that's at least okay. Maybe they'll be building more like cloth. Maybe the burgers are like going to upgrade their cloth manufacturers or something. That's good. Oh God. Is there a reason you went with one material province project? Caesar has about 10 to 50 locations where Vicky 3 has a single province. That is so dense. Holy shit. That means that Wales would have Wales could have upwards of 40 tiles probably.
Perchance.
Ooh. Perchance. Why do Christian nations have to pay interest on loans when the church's dogma forbade usury? The dogma forbade a lot of things which were handily ignored whenever deemed necessary. Hey, the Medici are in the heart of Italy. They're still charging you hefty interest on your loans. How are they going to make money? Guys, what if building ships requires lumber? Yes. Yeah, not a surprise there. I'm willing to bet that over time you're going to require certain resources to make your armies too. When you have professional armies, you're probably going to need to have resources to upkeep your professional troops. Province of zero control. Yeah, here we go. More of this stuff. Zero control. It's not part of the country. If the estates of the province do not contribute to the country, since the estate pool is county level. Yeah. While under Riga state with 100%
Oh,
control of the
Lord.
capital. Oh god. As the capital, but it's not going to have 100% control. 0% of local wealth went on housing decoration. Yeah, 100% was split between the crown and the states. The states use it to fund buildings, commercial navies, expand trade. After the Swedish-Russian conquest of Riga because of the distance of capital. 42% control or something. Yeah. This is a lot. Yeah, this is another case of someone really not liking this whole system. This lost money does not enter the estate coffers anymore and thus stops participating in the economic development of the province. Suddenly, the estate losing 58% of their wealth in previous. And the estates will pursue the less, which means less local castles. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't think that that's a problem, actually, because, yeah, it means that the less control... Yeah, if suddenly Russia has conquered Riga, and they have, like, terrible control by comparison, I can totally imagine these local nobles now. The whole power dynamic is like, going to be thrown into whack, where suddenly these nobles, like, sure, I get, like... There comes a point where it feels a little weird, because, yeah, in this situation, I can totally see it being like, well, yeah, I want the estates to still build stuff. They want to pursue their own interests. I want to see that happen instead of it just disappearing. But I can also see where it's like, oh, they're still spending the money, they're just not spending it in a way that helps you. It's like, yeah... It seems like it might be a necessary sacrifice for the purpose of gameplay.
Yeah.
Sad noises. Okay. That is where I can stop this topic. I imagine most of this is just going to be more of the same. A lot of this is going to be the same topic as well. I'm curious to see how this whole opinion on this subject evolves. The whole wealth just disappearing. I'm curious to see what people will think about that and whether Johan will address it more in the future. Because this is a small aspect of the gameplay, and it's actually a really good sign that so far this is the biggest thing that people are upset about. Is like, what happens when you don't have full control of the province? Because at the end of the day, I am very happy with this, and so much more happy with it than I am with autonomy and how autonomy works.
Yeah, I don't like autonomy at all.
Yeah. This is just saying, oh dear, there's a small vestige of that autonomy system still at play, where some of it just disappears. Oh, boo-hoo. Right now, the way autonomy works, all of it's just gone. And it's with the exact same notion of abstraction. But yes, thank you, Dark, for hanging out with me and discussing this stuff. I hope that you folks in the chat, like Nem rambling about yew trees being cut down for longbows, because yeah, I do imagine that you probably need wood for a lot of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm sorry. I've got muffins to eat, and we're gonna eat some muffins. He's gonna play Dark Souls. We're gonna talk about world building stuff and good old sibling stuff. You know. No, you're not eating my muffin. You're not. That's not allowed. Nope. I have a lot of Costco muffins. They're great. I've got so many Costco muffins to eat. It's going to be fantastic. And I've got grapes, too. You don't get any of them. So long. Farewell. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you next time. And yes, I do know the Muffin Man. He is me.